lot of us saw that photo on Twitter today from an episode of Loose Women where the caption said, "Is it time we left Eurovision?" And I was getting all geared up to do a response to it. I was going to make jokes about ITV's daytime schedule and whatever. But actually, what I did was the rational thing and actually watched what they had to say. And it turns out that actually the Loose Women on the panel today actually said some fairly sensible things. Colleen Nolan, who famously, she didn't do it, but her sisters tried to win the Song for Europe in 1979. Colleen Nolan actually made the fairly sensible point that if we tried to pull out of the competition, we would look like the biggest sore losers. And that's actually a really good point. And some of the other panelists said that points that actually we as fans are quite, I'd agree with that it's quite brutal for the artist, that it can be quite soul destroying. Some of them said that it might be, it's not something for famous people to do, but maybe it's something to project your fame as a new artist. I don't quite agree with that. But actually, it was a reasonably measured discussion and not what I was expecting at all. But there's a fundamental point that they completely missed, which was actually, the BBC probably, I don't know what the exact entry fee is, but the BBC probably pay about €500,000 to enter Eurovision, okay? According to most recent figures, Spain paid about 300,000, I think Germany paid about 400,000, and everyone else pays slightly less amounts of money, and that's why we're in the big five. So we pay quite a large amount of money. But in return, we get between 8 or 9 hours of television on a Tuesday night, on a Thursday night, and 4 hours on a Saturday night. And it's watched by anywhere between 7 and 9 million people. Those are numbers that you would kill for these days in television. So actually, if you're the BBC, the hourly rate of paying for Eurovision is actually cheaper than an episode of Casualty, and I would argue probably actually more fun than an episode of Casualty as well. So to sit there and say, oh, should we pull out of Eurovision? And I don't think the Loose Women were heading into that. They were actually very fair. But should we pull out of Eurovision because we're not winning it? Absolutely not. For the BBC, this is I don't want to say cheap entertainment because that makes it too easy to make a joke, but it is a very good use of budget that you get this amount of television as an outside broadcast for that amount of money. So actually I'm going to say well done to the Loose Women for having a reasonably fair and balanced discussion without falling into the trap of talking about how it's rigged or whatever. One person did say political, but we'll ignore that. But actually, they had a very fair discussion of it. And I think, should we withdraw? No, of course we shouldn't, because as I say in quite a lot of my videos, the most important thing about Eurovision is not for the 0.01 hardcore fans like me and a lot of other people, but it's for the other 99% of people who are here just to have a good time on a Saturday night.